This conversation has been a long time coming.
Absolutely.
So, okay, I have to start.
Okay.
I want to start, even though we've already started. But your book, Walk Through the Fire.
Yes.
I was saying how even just reading it, the inspiration that it gave me, we have so much to talk about. Just, it truly is such a why is something so simple so hard?
Right.
You know,
right.
like, but you simplified it. But I want to start with this. I'm reading your book.
I love it.
Can you believe it? Like, seriously, I have it highlighted. But I wanted to, because as we're sharing your story, this quote just came back to me, because this is like, to me, this is kind of what started your whole story, okay? So you're talking about the status quo. So the status quo says, I need to drive the latest and newest ride, not invest into real estate so that your assets can buy you any car you want. The status quo says, make sure everyone notices you, not create generational wealth and knowledge that you can pass down to your children. I noticed these things in the last years, and I wanted to take a deep dive into how I can go against the status quo. Living status quo is fairly easy to do. It's easy to jump into a car payment, buy up a ton of clothes, or even flash a few dollars for the camera.
Absolutely.
It's not easy to learn the discipline needed to invest, create wealth, or master something as simple as communication. The fact is, in order to remove yourself from the status quo, you have to commit to the journey of improving your mindset and developing. We could end right now. We could end right now.
And it's simple. It's simple stuff, but that is going to get overlooked by millions of people. And it's going to get overlooked.
Well, it is overlooked every day as we get on social media. Yeah.
Right.
But for you, that's really what started the journey. So many people probably don't know, because it's not something you share all the time, but your basketball, where you were really thinking you would be going into the NBA, and you had to pivot, and just that was the realization. So I kind of want you to start there, and then the realization, then you kind of got shoved into a status quo life, which we all do, and then you realize this isn't the life that I want.
Absolutely. So you want me to kind of go back a little bit and talk about that? So
you're like, it's a lot, Stuart.
So I'll start at 8, but I'll make it, really quick regarding the basketball stuff. At 8 years old, I knew that I was a good basketball player. I had the nickname TP. My name is Trevoy Pointer, so they were already calling me TP in the 6th, 7th grade. And I was really good. There were people getting bullied in school, and because I played basketball, no one ever did anything to me. I got over getting bullied in school because I was good at basketball. They treated me differently, or whatever the case may be. So
it gave you a certain amount of status.
Right. Don't beat up TP, because he,
Yeah.
And I wouldn't let anybody beat me up anyway. But still, it's just playing basketball and being good, people recognize that. So anyway, I continue to get
gave
good
you
at
clout.
basketball. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Continue to get good at basketball, and I was better than most people around me. So I got to high school. I actually played with CJ Miles. He's an NBA player. Currently, he's an amazing player. He was one of the guys who left to go to the NBA out of high school. He was one of that last class that went from high school to straight to the league.
Yeah.
Got a chance to play with him and other great players. My freshman year in high school, had a great high school 4 years, right? But I was depressed though. I haven't told a lot of people about this. I was actually depressed because I thought I should have played more. I at the time, and my coach is probably going to be like, "What, Coach Mayo?" I hated my coach at the time because I thought that I should have played more basketball than the guys that were around me. During practice, I was killing them. They were like, "Dude, you should be starting. You should be playing more." But I never really got that opportunity. So my coach told me, Coach Mayo, he said, "Show up at practice every day. Make sure you lift your weights. Make sure you're disciplined. Make sure you're focused with the whole deal." And I just kept doing it. We were talking about process. I just kept doing it, and I just got better. And just to wrap up, the whole deal of that 4 years in my senior year, when I got to college, the coach said, "Do what you do." So it was a complete different ballgame. We go from this high school coach that's like very disciplined, very like stay and support the teammates, and I was very frustrated, to this college coach that says, "Play, no restrictions. I want you to
go shine,
be yourself." And I was like all tournament rookie of the year. I mean, I got all accolades there, and I finished top 5 in scoring in New York, in a whole nother state. So, and that gave me all the confidence I needed for basketball. So that's kind of how everything went. And I'll just tell you here. So dominating 4 years of basketball in New York, a whole different state. I thought I was going to go to the league.
Yeah.
I wanted to play overseas, or I wanted to play for a development team here, the Texas Legends here, one of those teams. And I didn't have an agent. I didn't have any business people around me. I had no resources at all. So that dream of going pro just dwindled down.
You had no knowledge of the business.
No knowledge of the business. No idea how it worked. I didn't know I needed an agent, right? All these talented people we see, Will Smith, Denzel Washington, these guys got agents. They have support groups that put them in position.
Advocate for them.
Absolutely. There's some groundwork that the person has to do, for sure.
You have to be talented.
Absolutely. But there's some other parts that don't get always, brought to the surface of what's needed to get to that next level. So I didn't have it, and I'll mention this, I didn't know that I needed it, so there was no emphasis. I didn't have any urgency. I was like, all right, well, maybe I'm supposed to just transition over to the next life. So it just vanished, just like that, within 2 or 3 months.
And one of the things that you write about is that was what you knew to be successful. Like, you had no models growing up that you were like, it's either entertainment or sports.
Right, that was it.
It's like, that's how you are going to succeed. So then when that vanished, it was like, what else do I have?
Float into the abyss for the most part. That was the next logical thing to do without questioning everything at that point. Yeah, absolutely.
So then status quo life enters. What not every, but the average person does is just you go into your job and start living 9 to 5 and live for the weekends and brunch and drink.
Absolutely.
And then Monday starts.
Having a good time in uptown Dallas and vibing out and, just kicking it. It was fun.
Which is nothing wrong with that
Nothing
at all.
wrong with it.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with a vibe session on the weekend. And
totally.
But I realized maybe 2 years into it, I was like, no, this ain't it. This can't be the end all be all. And again, if that's what someone's prerogative is, that's fine.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, nah, this is not how I envision things looking forever.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of started to trigger me a little bit. So.
What was so unsatisfying to you about it?
Because I really didn't have my own time. It was the same thing. I would literally leave Louisville, Texas, my job Friday night. I'd go to my homeboy's house. We'd start drinking Friday night. We'd wake up and we'd pregame and start drinking throughout the day. Go out Saturday night. We always finish getting Jack in the Box tacos. I mean, it was like the same routine.
Yeah.
And again, in the first 6 months, it's like,
yeah. The freedom that comes with it, like you get to do what you want. Yeah.
Right. But then you start to realize, you're like, okay, well, it's the same scene, it's the same routine, the same people. Can we go do this in New York? Can I go to California? Can I go overseas? Mile dot? I want to start doing different things. How do I do that?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the question started popping
And
up.
for you, the epitome was too, I think you got a red, what was your car that you got? I'm not a car person.
A red Camaro.
You got a red Camaro.
I got a red Camaro.
And it was like, this is the show that I'm successful in doing my life, but then it was like, this is nothing.
Absolutely. Man, I got a red Camaro. I was watching Transformers. Man, it was geeked up. They were showing the commercials, and there was advertising. Camaro was advertising very heavy, 2013, 14, very heavy. And I was like, man, I need to get me a Camaro. If I get this Camaro, it's over with. Then I have hit it. I got my job.
Yes.
I graduated college. I got a bachelor's degree.
Yes.
I went to New York, out of Oak Cliff. Yeah. If I get this red Camaro, good night. Good night. Everybody knows that I'm the man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what happened. I went and got a Camaro. I remember that day. I was sitting there waiting, sweating, and I'm signing. I'm not looking at the paperwork. I'm just, I'm signing it.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me.
So long story short on that, I think we did a down payment. I don't even know if I even paid a down payment. It was just floating. The highway was off of 35 here in Dallas, and I could have went right, and I would have got to my house in 10 minutes. I went the long way around. I went the 35, 40-minute way, and I was hitting that highway going 85 miles per hour. You couldn't tell me anything. And that, at the moment, was the end all be all for me.
Yeah.
And then it eventually changed for the most part. But it
So
was a fun time.
what prompted that? I know having a son prompted that huge change, but this discontentment begins to enter your life, and then the realization that I have the lack of knowledge to change, and be the starting of questioning and researching, why do certain people get to live certain ways and I don't get to? Why am I living paycheck to paycheck and struggling when there's other people? What's the secret?
And that's what happened. You start to realize, okay, I got this car, I got my job, but am I still doing what I want to do?
Yeah.
Am I still? My guys at that time was Mark Cuban, Jay-Z. Those are the guys I was looking up to. Steve Jobs, absolutely big time. And I wanted to be creative. I wanted to influence people. I wanted to create and add value to people like these guys did.
Yeah.
And so just getting material things and accolades for myself wasn't enough. And then I also knew, as Steve Jobs said it, if I could add value to other people, that would change their entire life. So that's how my mind started to shift a little bit. So yeah, just that journey kind of just took me. So yeah.
So you walk in and you just quit your job.
I did.
Which we're not recommending that to anybody.
I did some wild stuff around that time. I did walk in. I was working for an IT recruiting company for about 3 months, and I walked in one day and I was like, I literally was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And she was like, do you want to go home for the rest of the day and come back the next day? I was like, no, I don't think I need to be here. So I left and I started doing Uber and I started doing Favor and Grubhub, just side gigs. And what it eventually ended up being is me affording myself more time to think for myself.
Yes.
And discover.
Because it was a struggle fest, though. Major look like
what?
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. But you got to be willing to struggle to evolve too. Absolutely.
So that gave you time to be able to reflect and research, like, what can I do to do this? And got you on the journey of entrepreneurship and wanting generational wealth.
Yes.
And
it just it trickled because it's one thing. Again, I don't have a problem with jobs. I think people like you need a base, and the
it
people
gives you capital to get your dreams sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there are people who bash 9-to-5 jobs, and I don't think that's right. But that's not for me to even go into all that. But like if it's a job, if it's a business, however you got to get it to make it happen, to get you to the next level, do what works for you.
Yeah.
And so, but at that time for me, a job was clogging up so much of my mind space that I wasn't able to think.
Yeah.
And if you don't ever get a chance to think for yourself, then you're just accepting everybody else's thought process and their thoughts. And you look up and you're 50 and you have never thought for yourself.
Yes.
So that time, and I didn't.
And you've lived an unhappy life that whole time.
Absolutely.
Like, this isn't the life that I was supposed to be living.
Right. It's frustration, depression, and we know how that goes. So I wasn't smart enough, or I would say aware enough at 24 to know that's what I was doing, but that's what ended up happening. I just had more time to, let me go read, let me go ask some questions, let me go fail a little bit at some stuff and get my hands dirty.
So what did you learn? Because there's moments in the book where you got conned. Like I felt when you were writing the pressure for all the people who are listening. It's like when you want to make something happen and you want something different, and the frustration of like it takes money to make money. Like you were going to real estate stuff. They're like, sure, if you give us $5,000, we'll help you. And you're like, I don't have that.
Right.
The frustration of trying to get somewhere but not being able to get there.
Absolutely.
So how did you change? Like when we started this conversation, we were saying, my mind is set now.
Right.
Like my mind is set. Like I am succeeding, even the things that I want to. Like, tell me that process about because it was really just your true study of discovering what successful people do, and successful in terms of like living the life, not living status quo, living the life that they really. Because some people are meant to be doctors, like they want, or to be a teacher, or whatever the career path is.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
But I'm talking about like, and when you really want to do something, how do I achieve it? Yeah.
And that's what the whole book is about. How do I discover myself? How do I discover myself?
Self-awareness.
And I love that, absolutely. I love the point you're making. But there's a level of vulnerability that happens when you are trying to get to the next level. So comfort is, there's this thing of like, okay, I'm accepting what life has given me. I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
It doesn't always translate to that, but that's essentially what it is. I'm comfortable. I'm gonna work my job. I ain't gonna ask no extra questions. I'm just gonna take my coins. I'm gonna do it. You know, but when you're trying to evolve and learn new things, that takes failure. You have to be okay with failing at things. So I don't look at failure as
Say that
this,
one more time.
Yeah, you have to be
you
okay
gotta
with
be okay with failing.
Yeah, so you become very vulnerable in this process. So when you want to do a real estate deal, or in case I was trying to get in trucking and this guy wanted, you know, the $1,000. I mean, you become vulnerable and you start to be like, okay, this person wants this, let me give them this and see what happens. Even though that's all of your little money and you took a loan out and it wasn't even your, you know what I mean? And then it goes south, it's a war wound. Yeah. And so along this process, we're just getting war wounds and, you know, learning experiences, whether they're good or bad, and then eventually you start to prime. You get mature, and you start. Okay, I've been through this before. I know how to maneuver through this. I know how to handle this situation. I know how to communicate in this.
Just living life and getting into those experiences.
Yeah, being open to it. If you think that you're going to just ride the sideline to where you actually really want to go in life, let me tell you right now, it's not going to happen. No.
It's not just going to magically appear.
No. Yeah. You have to literally, the walk through the fire concept is this. So I'm standing here and there's a fire pit over there just burning.
Yes.
And on the other side of that fire pit is the lifestyle that I genuinely want from top to bottom. I can tell you how I want my mornings to start to the end of the day. I can tell you from Monday to Sunday right now. That lifestyle is on the other side of the fire. If I want to get to that lifestyle, I have to intentionally walk through that fire.
Yeah.
Most people aren't going to do that because that's painful. Now, I'm not saying, you know, it's a figuratively speaking, you know, speech to it.
Yes.
You know, but like, it's painful to get, to learn, to grow.
It is hard to change.
You got to walk through the fire to get on the other side. So that's the whole.
But it's possible. Yeah, and I love, because it really is, you're simplifying it. SOE, self-discovery, overcoming fears, and your environment.
Absolutely.
And is like, as you're going through that, you're, you know, like it's changing. And then that gets back to what we're talking about, falling in love with progression.
Right.
Like you've helped me with that for years, because it's like always, it's like we always want to be someone and get somewhere.
Right.
And it's like we're living every day for that. But if you keep doing that, your life has gone, like your days and years pass.
Absolutely.
It's like you have to be happy where you are right now.
Yeah, accept it and know that it's a process. And I say this all the time: 1% better every day. If you just get 1% better, and some days it's going to be 20%, some days it'll be 150%. But just make sure it's 1%. You know, and that 1% may be 20% effort. You know, some days you don't have it all.
Yeah.
Some days I don't have it all, and I'm not going to be this guru and it's like, yo, I'm all with. No, there's days where again life will bust you up, and I'm like, you know, I'm going to bed at 7:30 p.m. tonight.
After I eat a brownie and watch some TV.
After I eat a McDonald's burger, you know, I'm not. I feel like I'm a normal human being that's just trying to do extraordinary things. I don't want to come off as this like down the road I'm a millionaire. Y'all can't. No, I'm a normal person, but I'm gonna get to it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to it every day.
And so the difference is having that day where you go to bed at 8 and you ate your hamburger, but it's like you get up the next day and you're back because it's so your mindset has changed so much. Where before it's like it would just for me it would be like you just go back to months and months of being hopeless. You know, like it's a true lifestyle change. Yeah. You
gotta get yourself out of a funk too. It's you know, being able to catch that. Sometimes it is an extended period of like I don't know what's going on right now, and working through it, you know, and working on yourself and coaching yourself. And so, you know, it could be months, you know, but you pick yourself up over time, stay in the game, and get back to it.
Okay, so another thing that I know that is so close to what's up is generational wealth.
Yes.
And I know what prompted that is your beautiful son, MVP.
Yes.
I love that those are his initials.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. So my son, That's my guy. That's my guy. So MVP Matthew Von Pointer. I cannot wait. And he's 6 years old right now. I have a great time with him.
6 years old is such a cool age.
It is. He's unfazed. He's like at 6. He's extremely mature. It's scary to me how he's unfazed by things that are going on in the world. He's just living his life. He's like, I just want to go watch Sonic. I want to a McDonald's burger or whatever.
Play basketball with my dad.
Have fun. Give me the
Yeah.
iPad and I'm good. And again, it's back to the simplicity. That's where he's at with everything. I love it. I can't wait till and I don't want to rush his process but I can't wait till he's 13, 14 years old where we can have different conversations. I'm excited about that because I just want to pour into him, not handicap him, but I want to pour into him so much that he's prepared and he can make good decisions for himself. That's all. I'm excited about that.
So what have you learned in all of your research and in Trevoy's process of greatness about generational wealth?
That it's not just money. It's not just money. The first thing that pops in a lot of minds, even my mind a lot of times, is like, oh, you need to set back, $100,000 to make sure they can get businesses. It needs to happen.
Yeah.
You need to have some financial resources in this economy. I can't ignore that. But I think presence is important. I think resources, network, blueprints, guidelines, the ability to even just call and say, hey, how are you doing? Or I'm going through this situation. What would you do in this situation?
Yeah.
Just that to be able to pick up the phone and then get a call from my son I can't wait for that moment. You know what I mean? When he's 21, like, hey Dad, I just got into a car accident, or that's kind of traumatic. Or I got a new girlfriend, or I'm trying to make a business deal. Give me some options here. I can't wait.
Like the coach did this to me. What do I do?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to just answer those questions for him. So when I think of generational wealth, it's spiritually, financially, physically,
that's
mentally.
So good.
It's all of that across the table, and that's what I want to push into him and live in him a little bit. So.
Okay, I'm going to read you one more thing from your quote, and then
it.
we'll, just because it feeds into that, you look at you're like, go for it. But I thought it was so powerful because it's really the old adage, like, when you know better, you do better.
Right.
Like, if your mind has just never even understood any of those things or thought it was a possibility, like, how would you even know that?
Absolutely.
So I love when you were starting to say you're researching, you find out how the Rockefellers made their money, which I know you're very passionate about because that was life insurance.
Yes.
Which we can talk about that. But you say, I was losing my mind as I came across this information.
Right.
I couldn't believe how the generations of wealth were being passed down and how people actually had conversations about business, money, relationships, and the situations we come across in life at the dinner table.
Yes.
The experience humbled me, and it was a pivotal point because I had to make a huge decision here. I could go on and continue to believe that these guys were just fortunate and that I had no chance, or I could get out of my own way and adopt similar principles so that I could give me and my family a chance to live in abundance.
There it is. I forgot I even wrote that. But that I love that. That's what
You're like, I love what I wrote, honey. But doesn't that sum it all up? It's like going, they're not just lucky.
Right.
Like, they're not just, of course some people are blessed with abilities, but you begin to see things and be like, it was started with conversation. They were built that way. Like, that's what generational is. And I brought that quote because it reminded me, like you were saying, I can't wait to pass down spiritual, emotional health, all those things that you don't even have to come from a low income family to not have conversations about stuff. I mean, my dad was in the oil business. Like, I didn't have conversations about money. Maybe I didn't want to because I just wanted to talk to my friends and hang out. But like, those things are important. That's building the generations in having those conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I grew up watching Martin and Fresh Prince and all that good stuff. I mean, in our
born and raised.
and I would say in our culture, it's entertainment. That's kind of the leading thing. And it's like I said, it either ball or rapping, entertainment, or movies.
Society feeds that.
That's what it pushes to the culture, and it's like, okay, as I've gotten older, it's like, okay, we're gonna have fun, We're gonna, watch basketball.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that, but we have to make room for this other conversation, growth. Let's just start with growth, right? Like, how do we communicate with each other? When I ask you a question, do you get annoyed when I ask you a question because it may trigger you to have to think about something?
Yeah.
I mean, just as simple as that, communicating with each other, how we're gonna, what is our goal? What are our goals? What is our plan for the week? What do we want, out of life? Do we want a house, credit card? I mean, there's so many conversations that just need to be had that it was irrelevant. You can only watch so many Fresh Prince Martin shows, and I've watched all of them. We have to make room for that conversation.
Yeah.
And so just,
if you want a purposeful life.
There we go.
If you want a meaningful life,
There we
and
go.
like you said, not the word wasn't influence, but with value.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. So when I was doing a bunch of research, and I've done so much research from so many different people.
You're such a researcher. That's really how I love how you say it more than once in the book. You're like, it was in a $7 book that I gained a life, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. The Rockefeller book, the Rockefellers I mentioned, they have a book called What Would the Rockefellers Do? It's in my trunk right now. I'm reading through it, you know what I mean? So, like, we have to have these conversations. And for me, as I researched the Mark Cubans, the Steve Jobs, the Jay-Z's, they were having conversations with their family. If you don't, like you said, if you don't know, then you don't know.
Yeah.
But if you have direction and guidance and, an idea, then your body and your mind would transpire to moving towards that quality of life.
Yeah.
So it's that simple to me. And whether it takes a month or 15 years.
Yes.
That's
You got to put
control.
aside the immediacy or the
Right.
timeline of it, because I do think that that's what stops people. That
Absolutely.
like you have simplified it, but for even the people who know, like,
Right.
okay, I know that I can just learn it, but it's the fact that it's not. Is it really going to happen? Like that mindset of changing your mind, like. I'm just going to get better every day and do what I can.
1% better. And another part in there is called controllables versus uncontrollables. I can't control where I started. No idea. Good or bad, doesn't matter. And if it takes a month to do it or if it takes 15 years, that's out of my control. But what I can control is 1% better every day.
Yes.
Focusing on doing a little research, understanding where simple
Yeah.
stuff. That's where we got to keep it. The world is going to convolute and confuse everybody. They're going to do their job regardless. It's our job, our responsibility to say, you know what, I'm cutting all the extra fluff. I'm keeping it simple, and I'm moving toward it every day. That's too boring for a lot of people though, but for me, I'm fine with that. Simple.
Well, like you talk about the micro and the macro,
Yeah,
like it's boring in the micro, but like in the macro, it's big.
Absolutely.
And another thing, we could just keep going, but I know we need to wrap up.
Right.
But about conversations, like I know that you personally sought out mentors, and I do want to hit that to encourage that, because I don't think people hear that enough.
Right.
I mean, I haven't heard that much in my life. It's like you got to find mentors, because those are going to give you the conversations that you need to get you to think about those things.
Absolutely.
Like you were purposely seeking out mentors.
I've purposely seeked out Jay-Z and met him. I purposely seeked out Mark Cuban and met him. I mean,
you had a week-long email conversation with him.
Absolutely. A week-long conversation with Mark Cuban via email.
Yep.
Quick story. I don't know how. Like, I can give it to you real quick.
Come
There
on.
was one morning. So I've come across meeting Mark Cuban on 4 occasions. One through email. Well, actually twice through email on different occasions, and then twice in person. There was this one morning he was speaking at North Mall here in Dallas, and that morning I think it was maybe like 5 years ago. I didn't have any gas. I think I had called off of work, or it was something weird going on. But and it was so many issues. I had to take my son to like across town. Everything in me was like, you're not gonna make it. And I kid you not, that morning I said, I don't want to go anymore. This is too much. I literally said that. I was like, this is too much. I got to take him over here. I got to do all this. It just was too many barriers to go and see him speak. So I verbally said, I'm not going to do this. So literally 10 minutes later, I was like, Trevoy, this is your guy, Mark Cuban. You need to go get up and meet him. You need to go get up and be in his presence and try to connect with him. it literally,
Wow.
by saying that, everything transpired and changed.
Whoa.
So I got up, I dropped my son off here, I handled my obligations. This is like 5 in the morning. I'm preparing to go meet him at 12. I think I drove down the tollway with no toll tag and just, chalked up some, toll tag money. I did
so
everything.
they can bill you later.
Right, they can bill me later. Right, and so I ended up getting to North Park Mall eventually. I had a little, nice little suit and tie on and all that good stuff. It wasn't suit and tie, but it's a blazer. And it's funny because Mark Cuban's standing waiting to go speak. I happened to be literally right, like me and you this distance we have, a foot distance. We had another conversation. He goes, "Hey, it's good to see you." And so my thing was like, "Are you excited to go speak and all that?" And it wasn't anything in depth. The conversation, it was just a general. "You ready to go speak?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll and get this knocked out."
Yeah.
But it was so genuine. Mark Cuban is the most genuine, down to earth person I've ever seen in my life regarding like someone of that stature.
Yeah.
You would expect like the guy's very down to earth. So that's. I seek out greatness, and I'm going to find a way to get next to it, just so I can learn to be in this energy and space. So.
And then that leads me to the other thing about, like, as you said, he's so down to earth, and I know that went into your attitude towards money when you were younger, thinking that all rich people are, jerks, and like to realize, or that no one's really using money for good.
Right.
But like, that's not true.
That's not true at all.
Yeah.
But if we go and just stay on the sidelines and make assumptions all day, we don't get in it and go learn and go experience it for ourselves. Jay-Z the same way. Yeah. Solid dude, laid back. So, it's important to have mentors on different levels. Not even just like up here. Like find a mentor that's one step above, or just, we can learn from the people younger than us that are doing things, right? So
that's been my whole life.
Yeah. So it's be open. Be open. Don't close off things because you think you know it all. Simple stuff like that. Yeah, so.
Okay, we'll end with.
What's up?
I love it. What's up? Since MVP Matthew, your son, was kind of a very his life really altered your life of really being like, I've got to get this together. Like I've got to be who I'm supposed to be. What's your ultimate wish for him? And we'll leave it at that.
My ultimate wish for my son is for him to find out who he is at an early age. Because I know if he can do that, he won't be swayed by external. I want him, and the selfish thing for me is like, I want you to go and be great and go get real estate and, I'm pushing all my wealth to you. That's the selfish thing in me. But what I ultimately want for him is to find out who he is as fast as he can, no rush, and start becoming that person. Get through the process of becoming that person. And if he does that, and when he does that, then he's going to conquer life the way he wants to conquer life. Yeah. And that's all I can ask, because I don't know what's going to be the deal in 50, 60 years. I don't know. It may be flying cars at that point. Yeah. So I can't say I want him to have a flying car. No, whatever that is, he'll be able to say, I know myself enough to go get it, or to find that quality of life. So I just want that.
Which was really your whole journey. Like you start with self-discovery. Like
Absolutely.
You are, everything gets down to self-awareness.
Got to. Because we're being poured, we've been poured a lot of information from external sources. And I can go a whole rabbit hole, and then I'm not. I'll wrap it up with this. And I think one of the most important things in our whole life is to find out who we are. Yeah. Because we grow up learning all these different things.
Yeah.
You gotta
Beliefs.
go to school. And, absolutely. Religion.
Expectations.
Economy. All that stuff. Even our parents. And they are from different eras.
Yes.
So sometimes your parents their teachings don't relate to who you are. We have to be okay with that.
Right.
So, just who are you? Find that out. And then we'll start there. Things will get a little bit easier. So that's what I want for him.
That was amazing. Like, that was such an amazing, my wish is that he would find out who he is.
Absolutely.
Because you know that's going to lead him to everything he's supposed to be into.
Absolutely. 100%.
And that's our wish for all of you.
Absolutely.
There's my segue. Because that's really the hope of, that's why I love interviews so much.
Right.
Like that's the hope of Beneath, because through conversations and through hearing other people, we just, I mean, through experiences, but we really discover ourselves through those conversations.
Right.
Like we're like, oh, I didn't know that I believed that, or I didn't know that that was possible, you know?
But you do, and you've always done a great job at making people feel comfortable having that conversation. And from you hosting and from just having a off the camera conversation with you, you always make people feel comfortable. And I think that's what you've always talked about. Is like you are that person. You want to make people feel good about themselves, and you have always done a great job at doing that. So
because I'm the same way. I want
Yeah.
all of us to be everything we're supposed to be, because I want that for myself. Like I want so much to be everything I'm supposed to be. Spiritually, physically, mentally, financially, relationally.
all that.
I want, it's like the dish rag that's like all full of water and you squeeze it and it's dry. It's like, that's what I want. We want to become everything we're supposed to be. And I want that for myself and I want that for others. Because you know what? I know how painful it is to not be doing that. I think
painful.
hopelessness of not being who you want to be and feeling stuck. That's why I love your book so much, because it's simplifying. There is no worse feeling than feeling stuck and feeling like you can never change.
And not knowing where to go.
And
100%.
not knowing
100%.
where to go.
So that's exactly what that book is for somebody to pick up that didn't have a mentor, didn't have any guidance, that just completely just randomly, like, what am I doing? And if you just, and that book, I think in 20, 30 years, it's going to hit even harder. I'm being honest, because like it's too simple. Most people are going to look at that and be like, no, that can't. That's too.
Yeah.
But you start peeling those pages back, you're like, wait a minute, if I just do this consistently.
Like you even go, number one, I found out what I didn't know and decided to research it. Number two, but it's like when you read it, you're like, everything feels so, I think it's because when you are hopeless and when you want to change so bad and it feels so hard to change, you get overwhelmed.
Yep, absolutely.
But then when you really just break it, that's why I was like, this is simple. Like if you get up in the morning and decide, what am I going to learn today about what I need to learn, you know? Like I know I get up in the morning, it's like, I have all these goals, like, oh, I'm going to be reading for an hour. And then when I feel like I haven't done that, I fail. It's like continually being like, well, can you just read 10 minutes?
That's it.
About the financial book that you may not, you know, it's not my huge passion, but I know I need to learn more about it.
Right.
You know?
I need to know something. Roth IRA. Okay, I don't know crap about Roth IRAs. I'm gonna take an article, 7-minute article.
Yeah.
When I talk, like literally, you can go right now on Google and put Roth IRA and read a 7-minute article and know more about Roth IRAs than most people on the planet. Because most people are not gonna do that. They're gonna get frustrated and say, nobody told me about Roth IRAs and okay, well, go to Google and put Roth IRA explain. There's going to be a website called, it's several, and it's going to give you a 7-minute rundown on what Roth IRAs are. And you're going to be ahead of the game right there.
And now you wake up tomorrow having that little bit of extra knowledge in your pocket. Yeah.
And be okay with that, because you didn't have it at first. 1% better a day. And then the next day you say, oh, Fidelity and Charles Schwab, and then you start to get into the different companies. Okay, well, I can get a Roth IRA. And then the next day you call them and say, hey, how you open up? That's it.
The process.
That's it.
Yay for the process.
I love this. I
love
could do this all day.
Me too.
And I'm happy for you. I'm happy for I want to see this on the network. I want to see it everywhere. And anything I can do, I'm doing it.
I know. That's why I was like, you have to be on this, because we have to have this conversation. So thank you for joining us. For Benny, thank you for joining all of us. I appreciate you. And we hope to see you again. Thank you for watching Benny.